Is Royal Caribbean's The Key worth it? This is a really popular add-on that a lot of people buy for their cruise, but over the years, I've recommended not buying it because I never really thought it was worthwhile. But I tried The Key again while sailing on Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas to see what it's like now and if I'll change my mind. The premise of The Key is simple. Pay a daily fee and get special benefits that you probably wouldn't get otherwise. And The Key is really popular because of that, because you get a lot of people, especially new cruisers, who want to have instant shortcut to extras, faster access, and even a few discounts. The Key costs money and must be purchased before the cruise begins. Now, the price really does depend on the sailing, but you can expect it to be somewhere between $25 and $50 per person per day. If you choose to buy it, everyone above the age of 6 in your cabin must buy it as well. That means you cannot buy the perks for just certain people in your cabin. There are a lot of perks included with The Key, including early check-in time and priority boarding at the cruise terminal. You can drop off your carry-on luggage on board the ship on deck 4 until your staterooms are ready, and then they'll be delivered to your room. An exclusive lunch on boarding day in deck 4 in the main dining room. 20% off dining offers when you book on day 1. 50% off onboard sports activities. $60 off spa services with a minimum spend of $250 at the spa. Fast lane access to certain activities like the Ultimate Abyss, zip line, and rock climbing. Priority departure at tender ports when you're doing tendering. Stay connected with Voom internet package, 1 device package per person. A dedicated seating in the main theater, Aqua Theater, Studio B, and 270, and an end of the cruise breakfast in the main dining room on the final morning of the cruise. Now, there is a limit to how people can buy the Key on any given sailing, so it absolutely can sell out, and sometimes does so many weeks before the cruise begins. So, for my cruise, I paid $38.99 per day for the Key, bringing the cost to $155.96 for a 4-night cruise for one person. Royal Caribbean sends an email before the cruise begins to alert you to the important benefits, such as the special boarding time that supersedes whatever boarding time you get on your own via the Royal Caribbean app. Now, when I got to Port Canaveral to board my ship, I actually didn't see a special line for the Key. I could have sworn I've seen it on other cruises, but it really didn't matter because the process is so easy in places like Terminal 1 in Port Canaveral that you really don't need that much special attention. Everything moves so darn quickly. There's also a reserved area in the cruise terminal for people that bought the Key if boarding hasn't commenced yet. Now, I got to the cruise terminal at like 10:15 a.m., but when I got up to the point where I would be in the cruise terminal, well, boarding had already begun, so I didn't need to use the special seating. If it was available, though, Key guests would usually board right after suite guests, but before everybody else. Now, once on board the ship, you can drop off your carry-on bags at the check-in for the Key. This is actually really helpful, and I love this benefit because while I do give most of my luggage to the porters to deliver to my cabin, there are some carry-on things that I bring on board, and it's things that I need a little more TLC. I'm just worried about them being, jostled and thrown around. Whereas here at the carry-on check-in, number 1, I can just leave it there and go get it later on, or number 2, they're basically going to put it on a cart and bring it to the room. So I feel like there's a little more care that goes in with it, certainly. And this is really good if you have valuables or more like, electronics, things of that nature. But it's a very nice perk to have that. And one of the few benefits of the Key you cannot get anywhere else. I really think the top 2 reasons people book the Key, after the early check-in time, of course, is the included internet package and welcome aboard lunch. Given the cost of an onboard internet package, the fact it's included with the Key adds a lot of value to it. Plus, I think a lot of people will want to buy the internet anyway, so they look at it as if I'm going to buy the internet anyway, and I get some extra benefits, then the Key might be worth it. The lunch is essentially the Chops Grill lunch menu with the choice of filet mignon steak, a burger, or branzino fish. Now, similar to the internet package, there's an easy value you can derive from this benefit. Plus, it's really nice to start the cruise with a relaxing sit-down meal rather than competing with everybody at the buffet. The next most useful benefit, arguably, is reserved seating in the shows. Now, you'll still need to make reservations for shows, and of course, reservations are only needed on big ships. If you're sailing on a smaller ship, there isn't even the option because you don't really need it. But then there's a special section that is reserved for people that have the Key, top-tier loyalty members, and even suite guests. It's not front row seating, and usually is off to the side or closer to the entrance of the theater for convenience. Now, depending on if you care how close to the stage you sit, this may or may not be the ideal seating location for you. Now, if your ship does tender in any port, anyone with the Key will get priority departure preference when going from the ship to shore. The front-of-the-line access to things like the Ultimate Abyss, zip line, and rock wall, I think, are things that would be really helpful for families. I'm sure kids will especially love that. I feel like most of the rest of the benefits have limited appeal in terms of how you like to cruise. It's like the ones so far I talked about, I think are more universal. Getting a discount on booking dining on day one, a discount at the spa. I'm not so sure how lucrative or useful it'll actually be to folks to really take advantage of. Frankly, I don't understand the end of the cruise a la carte breakfast in the main dining room. Anybody can have breakfast in the main dining room on the last morning of the cruise, so I don't quite understand this one all that much, but hey, it's there. My problem with the key has and still is that it's very front loaded, meaning most of the best benefits are on day one, but you're paying for it the entire cruise. So on a 7-night cruise, you have to pay the entire value per night for the entire sailing. But the best benefits are definitely on embarkation day. And then as the cruise goes on, there's less and less value, if you will, in terms of what you can get out of it. Plus, some of the benefits you can easily get on your own. Getting an early check-in time, just do your online check-in as early as you possibly can. Get one of those early times, you'll pretty much be boarding first anyway. You can certainly purchase the internet package and Chops Grill lunch on your own and still enjoy those benefits. So really, it boils down to how much more the key will cost to really justify the value of it. In times in which there's a good sale and the key is not that much more than the daily cost of an internet package, you can certainly make the argument for it. I really think the key is best for somebody who does not have a lot of status within Royal Caribbean, certainly below Diamond, not staying in a suite, and someone who's definitely going to buy the internet package no matter what. If you say yes to all those three things, then I think there's a really good cause to buy the key. But again, it depends on the price. I wouldn't pay $40 a person per day. Heck, even at the 30 something that I paid, I still think it was really pricey for it. I'd also argue the key has much better value proposition if you're on a shorter sailing than a long one, because again, you have to buy for every day. Given this was a 4-night cruise, even though I really didn't take advantage of any of the key benefits for days, 2, 3, and 4 of the sailing, I still got a lot of value out of it on the front of the sailing, and having that lunch and internet access, which I was going to get anyway, is a nice value add. A lot of people, though, end up buying the key primarily for that early check-in. They want to board the ship first, so to speak, which I completely understand. But remember, Royal Caribbean's online check-in opens 45 days before your cruise is set to begin. If you do the online check-in 45 or 44 days before your cruise, you're going to get one of the earliest check-in times. And to be honest with all of you, the check-in times really haven't been enforced or even checked at all in cruise terminals I've been to, certainly in the last 2 years. I honestly cannot recall the last time somebody asked for it. Certainly they could enforce that rule, but for what it's worth, you really could check into the cruise terminal without having the key time and probably still be among the first people to board the ship. While I think most of the key benefits truly sound better than they really are, I do realize there are some people, especially new cruisers, who don't have any loyalty benefits, don't have any of the added perks, and aren't staying in a suite, and so there is a value add for them. I think, though, that being said, you can attain a lot of similar, if not the same benefits on your own by simply doing a little bit of research and doing some footwork ahead of before your cruise in order to get a lot of these benefits on your own. The only benefit you cannot replicate on your own is the carry-on baggage storage once you get on board the ship. I would argue it's a matter of 2 or 3 hours you're stuck with your bags, and I've come to learn to live with it. It's really not a big deal is what I'm trying to say. For the welcome aboard lunch, you could simply book it pre-cruise, take advantage of a nice discount thanks to one of those many Royal Caribbean sales for that, and book that. Certainly the internet also gets deep discounts before the cruise begins. For the 20% off discount when you book on day one, well, that's nice, but if you pre-book before the cruise, which I would recommend to book any dining before the cruise, again, a lot of sales, even a dining package. How about the tendering service? That seems like a really good deal to have priority access to that if your ship actually tenders. And I would emphasize if, because it's pretty rare these days for Royal Caribbean cruise ships to actually tender. That being said, if you book any Royal Caribbean shore excursion through the cruise line, you get priority tendering with that. So it's really only beneficial if you tender and if you're going to go do something on your own. So my advice is simply book a Royal Caribbean shore excursion for that priority tendering anyway, and you can circumvent that benefit. The seating in the theater is nice, but you still need to make a reservation on your own. And on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, the actual reserve seating may not be where you actually want to sit. And lastly, some of the fast lane options, the onboard activities like the Abyss, zip line, and rock climbing, they're lovely. I don't want to wait in line for any of those things. I would argue that, I don't know how much you're actually going to use that. That's really the question before you. And as for the discount for the onboard sports activities, I mean, unless you're really into the flow rider and want private lessons, I really question the value of that benefit being truly useful. Ultimately, I'll continue not recommending the key. I just think the benefits sound better than they truly are. But if you are brand new to roll cribbing and you want to hit the easy button, like you're like, Matt, I appreciate everything you just said there, but I want the easy button. I don't want to think. I just want to do that. This really is that convenient option for you. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of the key? Is it worth it? Have you ever tried it before? And if you have, what are the best things about it? Why am I wrong about it? Let me know your thoughts on the key. Thanks for watching. This has been Matt from RailCribbingBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.